Hello, Year 12 and 13. I hope you've had a great weekend, enjoyed the beautiful weather that we've had today. And here I am now just talking to you about our assembly, because obviously there is no tutor time tomorrow, obviously Monday morning and Monday afternoon. So I mentioned this a lot so far. I like this phrase about you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf, and that's kind of what we're doing at the moment. We're changing our procedures, we're changing how we are using the post-16 building, because basically what we want to do is trying to adapt and trying to make sure that you are safe when you're in the post-16 building, and we're going to reduce contact as much as possible between Year 12s and Year 13s. So we are following government guidance about catching it, binning it and killing it. We're kind of looking at reducing the contact that we have with each other, and part of this is we're going to evaluate constantly what we're doing. We'll run this through for 2 weeks, so it's really important you keep communicating with us, because we know that some people are not going to be happy about what we put in place. Some people are going to be really happy, and thank you very much to those people that said gave me some feedback, and they feel that actually it will make the post-16 block and obviously your movement around the school site a lot better as well. So thank you for those people that have said they're really happy about the new things we've put in place. So it goes without saying, I know I keep saying it, but really the priority for me this week is you making sure you have your mask. So when you're leaving home, obviously I know you're probably checking you've got your phone. And then the same thing needs to be, have I got my mask? Because you need to be wearing your mask in the corridors as you're moving around school, and as you're in the corridor in the post-16 building attending lessons. Now you are allowed to move around the school site. You're in that privileged position where obviously other students are in their specific zones, and that's on the idea that you are always going to be wearing a face mask. So we would hate to be in a position where we can say you can't move around the school site because you haven't got a face mask. You must bring your face mask to school every day, and also follow the guidance about what hand washing regularly, and obviously if you're displaying any symptoms, not coming into school. So there's a lot of information on this slide, and I appreciate that in assembly on Friday it was a lot of information, but I've sent a letter to your parents and they should have this as well. So just running through as a reminder, basically the Trelawney Road side gate is still your entrance point and your exit point, unless you're obviously a consortium student where you'll enter through from reception. So that Trelawney Road side gate will be open at 8:40, so you're able to come into school, and obviously you will go straight to your lesson, unless you're a Year 13 student, where you will go to your tutor base. So Year 12, I'm going to ask you to arrive a little bit later, if possible, between 8:50 and 9 o'clock, because obviously if your classroom is being used for a tutor room, you will have to wait outside in the post-16 building. That's fine, but obviously what we want to try and do is just to make sure we reduce that footfall as much as possible, so try to arrive as close to 9 as possible, and then the gate will be locked at 9 o'clock. So you only come into school if you have a lesson for periods 1 and 2. If you're Year 12, Year 13, you only come into school if you have a lesson periods 1 or 2. Then those students, if you've obviously had a lesson, you can go home at 11 o'clock, because that is when the Trelawney Road gate will open, and obviously those students who are coming in will come in for lessons 3 and 4. You will obviously arrive between 11:10 and 11:20, just a little bit later, so you can get to your lesson in time. And we ask you basically to go straight to your lesson, because that room won't be being used, and you just kind of get ready for your lesson. If you had a lesson periods 1 and 2, what you will do is, obviously we're expecting you to stay on school site, because you can't leave school site and then come back on school site. So you, Year 13 students, can study in the post-16 building. Year 12 students, what you will do is you can study in the library, and also Year 12 social spaces at break 1 and break 2 will be E10, room 51 and room 9, because obviously you can't eat in the library, so you'll be able to use those classrooms to kind of have some food, because obviously you can't eat in the library. Obviously, if you don't have any lessons, so let's say you arrive at 11:20, you go to lessons periods 3 and 4, that's your lessons for the day. You will then leave at 1:30 when the gate opens again, and obviously we close it at 10 to 2. So those students who might have a period 5 will come and attend that lesson. If you have a year 12 student and you have a lesson period 5, then you will go to tutor time as per normal. If you're a year 13 student and you have a lessons 1 and 2, you will go to tutor time as per normal. So that is how tutor time is going to work. You only go to tutor time if you're a year 12 student and you have a lesson period 5. You only go to tutor time if you're a year 13 student if you have a lesson periods 1 and 2. So we're kind of reducing tutor time, but actually there should be less students in your tutor time for year 12 at the end of school and in year 13 at the beginning of school. So actually you'll get a more personalised mentoring and support from your tutor. So we hopefully actually think it should be more worthwhile and valuable, because you'll be able to kind of speak to your tutor in detail about any worries or concerns that you might have. So obviously for year 12s, that is at the end of the school day, and you will only attend tutor when you have lesson period 5. The big one, I guess, for some of you that were a bit worried, was this whole idea that you can't stay in school and work all day. And yeah, of course, appreciate some of you are frustrated at that, and also for the year 13 have got the post-16 centre, and year 12 got the library. But we're going to review that, and we can review this procedure that we've got for the next 2 weeks, because I appreciate that for some of you, you'll study better at school than you will do at home, because there's so many distractions at home. But the priority is obviously we've got to reduce that contact in school. And if you come up with any suggestions, I'm more than happy to listen to those. But over the next couple of weeks, that's just kind of what we'd like to do. Again, when I mentioned about study bubbles, a lot of you have close friendship groups anyway, but when you are looking at working together in those small areas with study bubbles, that makes sense, because I guess you will sit next to the same people. If you have lessons in maths, physics and chemistry, you'll generally sit with the same people anyway, and that's quite useful, because if there is a positive test, then obviously we'll be able to track who has been in close contact. And likewise, when you're studying in the library or you're studying in post-16, if you try and use the same areas, that's going to be really helpful. Year 12 will still be able to come in and use a cafe, but of course you've got to be wearing face mask as you come and collect your food from the cafe. Still use the toilet facilities, but again, there's designated toilet facilities, and there'll be a designated one-way system in the post-16 block. So quite a bit of change, but we actually think it's going to keep you safe in school. So year 12 is assessment week coming up. Year 13, so, yours will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. This whole idea about targeted practice and practice being really important. Some of you got some great routines in terms of year 12s. We know we've talked about being a self-regulated learner. We know we've talked about memory for learning and going back over your work. The forgetting curve really makes it so clear in terms of the more practice you do, the more targeted practice you do, we know that information does stay in to your brain. And how we do that really is we plan, we monitor, and we evaluate what we're doing all the time. So we're thinking about what we're doing, so we're effective. So we're effective, self-regulated learners. Now, I know your tutors have spoken to you about this, but I think this is an absolute key to being successful as a post-16 student. And I know you're going to go through your revision and your work for your assessments coming up. And I think you need to be asking yourself these questions. If you are working at home, before you start your work, what strategies are you going to use? Have you put away any distractions? How will I overcome any difficulties? Have I got study buddies? What did I use in GCSE that worked for me? And also kind of us knowing exactly what you're studying for, in terms of, rather than going and doing some revision of the work you've done the last couple of weeks, well, actually, what are you going to do? Some of us really struggle to get started. Here's me doing my assembly last thing on a Sunday night. And sometimes it's just a case of saying, well, I'm just going to work for 10 minutes, the 10-minute rule. Just make a start. rather than just think, oh, I'll start in a minute, or I'll start in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just make a start. So I'm going to work for 10 minutes, and you'd be surprised how much work you actually get done. You need to monitor. As we all know, sometimes we pretend to work. We say, oh, I'm doing some reading, but you actually need to stop yourself and think, actually, is this going in? Am I really studying properly? Am I just pretending to highlight everything on a page? And actually, if it's not, that's when we need to change things and can go back to the planning phase and think, well, actually, this is not working. Because I have no doubt that because you haven't done any formal assessments for a long time, you might be thinking, oh, I'm not remembering anything. No, it's not working. I can't understand it. And that's where we go back to the planning phase again and think, right, okay, I need to change what I'm doing in order to help me, really. And then this evaluation, so we plan, we monitor, and we evaluate. And your assessments and how you're doing those is going to be fairly mixed, and we're not expecting you to kind of for how long you've been away. We're not expecting for you all of a sudden to kind of have a perfect set of results. But what is really important is you really need to evaluate and think, what can we do better next time? And with that, that's what learning is, isn't it? And I know that you've made a great start to post-16 study. Some of you have worked harder than others, let's be honest. Some of you have not spent your study periods wisely. Some of you have spent time gaming in the post-16 building, or some of you, even the other day, I saw some people playing cards, which they got a bit of a shock. So this is going to be a real key week for you in terms of your assessment week. And when you evaluate, you might actually think, well, how hard have I been working? Have I been using my study periods effectively? And then we go back to our planning phase and think, right, okay, what do I need to do better next time before my next lot of assessments? So to summarise, it's a big week for Year 12, Year 13s. We know that your assessment weeks are coming up before the end of this term, and that will inform your UCAS maybe predicted grades and probably evidence of how you're performing. But you actually need to prepare properly. You need that forgetting curve you will need to go back, revisit work again and again and again, so we know we're ready to study and we're ready to kind of always monitoring our performance to see how well we can do. So we always plan, we always monitor, we always evaluate, we always think about what we're doing in order to be successful. So 12 minutes long, sorry, it's a little bit longer than I'd hoped, and than a normal assembly. I hope you have a great week. I look forward to seeing you all around. Please do come and speak to us and let us know how you feel this is working. But of course, please be assured that why we are doing this is to make sure that we can keep the sixth form open. We're going to keep you guys safe. More importantly, if we can do this and keep you in front of your teachers, that's the most important thing. Take care. Speak to you soon. I'll see you around this week. Bye-bye.